you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger.
I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage, and he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing.
Boxing analysts believe Jake Paul stands little chance of lasting against Gervonta Davis. According to Shakur Stevenson, Jake's size advantage won't be enough to make a difference. He explains that Davis's superior skill set, timing, and ring IQ will allow him to control the entire fight. Stevenson predicts that Tank may not look for a knockout due to Jake's larger frame, but will dominate the bout with precision and easily win on points.
Difference between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just going to knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously, no?
Hell no, nah. That ain't really like... I mean, like I said, here's the thing. Like, I got two sides to me when it comes down to I got a business side, then I got a competitor side. And from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to be like, okay, I want to watch it.
Showbiz the Adult points out that Gervonta Tank Davis has already proven he can handle taller and bigger opponents like Ryan Garcia. He reminds fans that Ryan wasn't just taller, he was also faster and more explosive. Yet Tank quickly adapted, found his rhythm, and scored a decisive victory. The analyst explains that if Davis could close the distance against someone as skilled and experienced as Ryan, then Jake Paul will face an even tougher challenge. Showbiz adds that while Jake's size might look like an advantage on paper, boxing is ultimately about distance control, timing, and ring intelligence, areas where Tank truly shines. He emphasizes that Davis has mastered the ability to read opponents' movements, set traps, and exploit openings. Once Jake steps into the ring with him, those skills will become apparent very quickly.
Emotionally, see if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him, I saw it. I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Bumgardner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3-minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Bumgardner. Not really known for having great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Bumgardner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Bumgardner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Bumgardner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Chris Algieri praised Gervonta Tank Davis for his remarkable ability to draw massive attention every time he steps into the ring. According to Algieri, modern boxing isn't just about technical skill anymore, it's also about star power and the ability to fill arenas. He explained that Tank has become a symbol of this new era, bringing energy and excitement that captivate both hardcore boxing fans and casual viewers alike. Algieri also acknowledged that Jake Paul, while not as technically refined, has played a significant role in reigniting mainstream interest in the sport. His involvement has attracted a new audience, people who might not have followed boxing before. In Algieri's view, both fighters contribute positively to boxing's popularity, each drawing attention from different corners of the fan base.
Boxing could be Jake Paul soon, and the
face
of boxing is basically. Yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again,
these are creative
products. These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate. Okay, it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, great fighter, and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set, and all over your phone, and all over everything. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about that.
Charleston White downplays Jake Paul's boxing career, calling it entertainment packaged as a sport. He argues that Jake's fights lack the authenticity of true professional bouts. Instead, they're carefully arranged events designed to attract views and generate revenue. According to White, Jake has yet to face a legitimate top-tier boxer capable of truly testing his skill, composure, and endurance. Charleston's remarks echo the feelings of many boxing traditionalists who believe Jake is using the sport more as a marketing platform than a genuine pursuit of greatness. He insists that if Jake were ever to step into the ring with someone like Gervonta Davis, the gap in skill would become crystal clear. Davis's elite training, sharp reflexes, and experience against world-class opponents would expose Jake's limitations. For White, popularity and pay-per-view numbers can't disguise the truth. Exhibitions don't build legacies. Real fights do.
But without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him. And with these 12-ounce gloves on top of Jake...
Teddy Atlas, one of boxing's most respected analysts, compared the potential matchup between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis to the time Jake's brother, Logan Paul, faced Floyd Mayweather. He explained that while Jake may hold a physical advantage, Tank's experience and mastery of the craft would ultimately decide the outcome. Atlas described Tank as a dancer in the ring, a fighter who dictates rhythm, tempo, and energy with complete control. Throughout his career, Tank has faced dangerous high-caliber opponents and developed the instincts to break down anyone, no matter their size or power. In contrast, Atlas noted that Jake still lacks the sharpness, timing, and ring awareness required to compete at that elite level. He emphasized that boxing isn't about size or muscle. It's about precision, patience, and control. When Tank moves, every step is calculated, and every punch is thrown with purpose.
When I heard it, no, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else that just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that, but I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air?
Showbiz the Adult also shared his thoughts on Gervonta Tank Davis's personality outside the ring. He acknowledged that Tank may not be the most polished speaker or businessman, but that's not what makes him dangerous. Tank's confidence, he explains, comes from his upbringing, an environment that demanded toughness and resilience, not fancy words. Showbiz points out that Tank's body language during press conferences says everything. He never appears nervous, intimidated, or under pressure. When he stands face-to-face with his opponents, there's a quiet, unshakable energy that speaks louder than anything he could say. But he adds that while Jake Paul excels at promoting fights and using media to his advantage, Tank's presence doesn't depend on hype or marketing. His aura is built on authenticity and fearlessness.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know. It's kind of like taking a guy from the block and putting him in the corporate world in a business meeting. He's going to be so out of his element that he's just, he doesn't even know how to argue without sounding like, I'm going to whoop your ass, I'm going to beat you. The way Jake was doing things, he had the clowns coming out.
Not everyone is convinced that Gervonta Tank Davis could defeat Jake Paul. Some boxing analysts remind fans to stay realistic. Weight classes exist for a reason. They argue that while Tank's power and explosiveness are unmatched at lightweight and super featherweight, stepping up against a naturally heavier opponent like Jake changes the equation entirely. Boxing, they explain, is a sport deeply rooted in physics. A 135-pound fighter moving up to face someone who walks around close to 190 pounds faces major disadvantages in reach, strength, and overall durability. These experts suggest that Tank's punches, which usually devastate fighters his own size, might not have the same effect on someone as large and solid as Jake Paul. Even clean, well-timed shots could be absorbed differently by Jake's heavier frame, making the matchup far more complicated than fans might think.
And we want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think.
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Davis
that weight classes for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70-pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. A 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro, if you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen.
Despite the skepticism, many fans admit that Jake Paul's presence in boxing brings undeniable entertainment value. His fights generate both criticism and excitement, creating a sense of curiosity that the sport hasn't seen in years. While some purists write it off as a money grab, others believe it injects fresh energy and attention into boxing. Jake Paul has a rare ability to make people talk. Whether they love him or hate him, they're watching. Every time his name is attached to a fight, the buzz follows. Fans tune in not just to see if he can win, but to find out if this might be the night he finally loses. That unpredictability keeps boxing alive and relevant. Even traditional boxing fans admit that Jake's involvement adds drama and personality, the kind of spark the sport has been missing, even if his skills are still evolving.
Oh, this is bad for boxing, this is bad for boxing. Mate, calm down, calm down. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's bringing a lot of eyes to boxing. A lot of eyes to boxing. He's doing great for boxing. I don't care what everyone thinks. The weight difference is mad though. Lightweight to, God knows, cruiserweight or whatever the hell he is. Oh, Gervonta might get thumped up, you know. Hey, if he gets bashed up, I can never go on TikTok live again. The TikTok warriors are going to give me a hard time. They're going to say Jake Paul's undisputed. Oh my God, he's the best thing since sliced.
British boxer Dave Allen shared a more balanced take on the potential matchup between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis. He admitted that he never particularly enjoyed Jake's past bouts with Mike Tyson or Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., describing them as more publicity-driven than true competitive fights. However, Allen believes that a showdown with Tank could be different. He explained that as long as both fighters stay safe and no one gets seriously hurt, there's nothing wrong with the event. After all, it's an exhibition designed to entertain. Allen acknowledged that while Jake may not yet be an elite-level boxer, his fights create buzz and conversations that keep the sport in the public eye. According to Allen, fans are naturally curious. They want to see how far Jake can push his limits and how Tank handles facing a much larger opponent. In his opinion, that kind of intrigue and unpredictability is exactly what boxing needs to stay exciting and relevant today.
The thing with Jake Paul, I think he's a good area title level fighter, and that's a good level. Like, you can be proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's good. But the Mike Tyson fight, I didn't like. The Chavez fight was just farcical because he's 10-11 years past his best, up 6 weight divisions. But less of a problem because Chavez wasn't in his 50s. Fighting the MMA guys, again, he's fighting people that don't do the same, that they're not even in the same sport. But while they're a bit older, they're still not in the 50s. So all that stuff, I won't really watch any of it. I think I've watched one fight against Tommy Fury, the only professional boxer in and around his prime years, and he got beat. But I think his area title level, I think he works really hard, I think he trains hard, and I don't think he's a bad fighter at all. I don't think he's a good fighter, but he's not a bad fighter. His experience, he's not bad at all. But Gervonta Davis is a lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is that having a rematch for the fella he got a draw with? Why is not?
This potential fight didn't come out of nowhere. Over the years, Gervonta Tank Davis has mentioned Jake Paul several times, dropping hints about a possible future showdown. Fans have long wondered if the matchup would ever become a reality, and now those rumors have turned into genuine talks. Both fighters have exchanged words online, fueling anticipation and signaling their willingness to settle the debate inside the ring. Tank has remained confident that he can expose Jake's flaws and show the gap between them in skill and experience. Meanwhile, Jake sees the fight as another chance to prove he deserves recognition among legitimate boxers.
Yeah, you're seeing what I'm seeing. Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I don't buy it for a second, but apparently they were in negotiations to have this fight happen if Tank Davis beat his previous opponent, which obviously ended in a draw. Which means he's obviously going to go and rematch Lamont Roach in his next fight. But come on, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight / heavyweight. Tank Davis is a lightweight. This is Jake Paul's mindset. Okay, I'll fight a legit professional boxer, OAP. I'll fight a legitimate professional boxer who's his age, loses. Okay, I'll fight another professional boxer who's half his weight. Honestly, I don't care how big Jake Paul is, I genuinely do think that Tank Davis would beat Jake Paul. I think Tank Davis would be too fast, too slick, outbox him, move around. He wouldn't knock him out, obviously. I don't think he'd knock him out because of how big Jake Paul is, but he would outbox him 100%. But anyway guys, let me know what you guys think about this potential fight. I really hope it does not happen because Jake Paul needs to fight a legitimate pro who isn't a taxi driver, who isn't old, and isn't hot.
The final debate among boxing experts centers around power dynamics. Gervonta "Tank" Davis is famous for his devastating knockouts at lightweight and super featherweight, but many analysts question whether that same power would carry over against someone of Jake Paul's natural size. That Davis's punches are destructive against opponents his own weight, but physics can't be ignored. A shot that crumples a 135-pound fighter might not even shake someone weighing close to 200 pounds. Experts suggest that Jake's natural durability, reach, and frame could help neutralize much of Tank's offense. That doesn't take anything away from Davis's skill, it simply means that